78, aka Brandon. This is episode 18 of the Anime Dojo. Tonight we're going to go through episode 7 or 8 and 9 or 7 and 8 of Dead Mount Death Play, alongside some other anime news that came out for the past couple weeks. We are only technically now 11 days away from Jujutsu Kaisen, the Shibuya arc. So we're looking forward to that. I know Chris and Deon both looking forward to that. They are joining me this evening. Gentlemen, how are you doing this evening?
Feeling on it, bro.
Doing that. Wonderful.
So let's start off with this. Let's start off with the anime charts. The anime charts were very interesting tonight, or this week, because, and I'm just going to go through them real quick before I ask the guys the questions. Bleach is at number 1. Zom 100, who had a delay from last week, aired a delay from the week prior, aired last week. They're at number 2. My Heavy Marriage sits at number 3. Stray Dogs stays at 4. And 7 Spellblades go at 5 spots. Musi Intensity drops 4 spots. Undead Girl Murder Farce stays at 7. Dark Gathering stays at 8. The Girl That Forgot Her Glasses drops 1 spot. And Spy Class Season 2 drops 1 spot. Gentlemen, I'm going to start out with this. What did y'all think of these anime charts? Chris brought up the fact that if Zom 100 was in this chart, it's going to be in the top 3. We see that here. But also, I still have to give it to Bleach, because Bleach, you're staying in the top 3 and you jump to number 1 now. Deon, I'll start off with you. What do you think about these charts?
I mean, like Chris said, it's not surprising. Most things only drop like 1 spot, and that's clearly because Psalm 100 came back. But I'm also not surprised about Bleach. I've been singing his praises since we started. I know it's hot, and this list to me is really surprising at all. It's giving me what we would have had we not had the Zom 100 break.
Okay. Chris, what about you? What do you think about these charts? I will mention, I'm actually kind of surprised Musashi Tensei dropped 4 spots from, so it would have been at 3, dropped, or would have been at 2, dropped to 6. So I kind of think that's kind of weird.
So
The only reason why I said go ahead.
But yeah, so Zone 100, yeah, like I haven't watched the new episodes, but I know it splits off from where the Netflix movie ended, which kind of to me gave it new life, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but as far as Bleach, yeah, that spot is most definitely deserving. Now, as far as some of these other ones, like, I can see why Mushoku Tensei dropped. It's one of those animes that has its lows, but it has its good highs. That's the reason why it's still on the. As far as these other ones, they're the same ones that we've seen, so there's no complaint.
I will say it does seem kind of weird that with Zom going to 2 and Bleach heading to 1, it's basically that Might Be Marriage just flip-flop with Bleach in that sense. And that's not surprising flip-flop, but I do think it is kind of odd because Might Be Marriage has been kind of in that weird thing of staying in the top 3 for most weeks. And also, with Bleach staying in the top 5, it's just kind of like they had with Zom, that didn't help when Zom came back. Zom pretty much jumps that queue quickly, and it just forces everything down, like Chris mentioned. Now we're going to be in a weird spot because we're getting 2 more episodes of Zom 100 next week and the week after. And then they're going on a little bit of high days because they don't have the production is taking kind of a hit. So that's going to be dropping out of the charts. But then from everything else on this list, everything else will be staying the same for the most part. We'll see where it goes. I'm actually like everybody, like both of them. Nothing really changed. Nothing really changed too much. Everything still played the same. I'm kind of looking forward to watching Undead Murderverse. I know it stayed in the top 10 pretty long time. That's when I'm gonna watch after it's over because that's gonna be something interesting. I'm gonna probably end up starting Bleach myself, but since Chris started it and since Deon likes it so much, I might start Bleach. Not really. If this is anything,
Oh boy.
yeah,
That's definitely a good one to start.
Yeah, I'll probably start Bleach just in my random time. In my random time.
You should have watched it with me.
You're gonna get hooked.
Yeah, I probably should have watched it
You
with
see
you,
how
Chris.
binged it?
He did pinch it.
Look, I liked it so much to the point to where I had to go back and watch Dragon Ball Z, the original OG. Okay.
Wow. Yeah, that tell you when somebody likes something, they like something. But let's get into the second part of this news from this past week. I told Chris about this already. Deon, you probably this for first you heard of this. They're making a Bruce Lee anime. We're talking about the fabled martial artist Bruce Lee in 2024. First of all, this is going to be very interesting. I don't know what they could go off of with this. Are they going off of his history, his life? They could do a multitude of things. What would
Either
y'all...
way, I say
Go
it's
ahead.
about time. I say it's about time.
You did say it's about time.
Because as soon as I heard about it, I actually delved a little research into it, and it's surprisingly, you wouldn't. Somebody told me, and I don't believe it, but it's the only thing I have to go on. Somebody told me that the Bruce Lee anime is an isekai.
That doesn't shock me as much as it pains me to say. It doesn't shock to me. And hold on to that point because that deals with the question tonight. But it doesn't shock me because it's easy to make, and it would make sense for his style of character, of his personality. Like they can make his personality around.
Now?
But I'm saying this in a sense. I'm saying they can make his personality so big, and you could say with him going into another world would be interesting. The same thing they're doing with Harley Quinn, Joker, for that you could say. And it's the personality of the character. I think that's going to be the biggest thing from this. He's so stoic. He's one of the most iconic people that was in the world. It's just going to be an interesting way to do it. And the only other thing you could do with this, if you did like a martial arts style anime, and I think that would be the only other thing that would work, like a tournament style, like a Cobra Kai kind of style anime. But that even is not even something I could see them do well. Go ahead, Deon.
That's the first time I'm hearing about it becoming an isekai. What I thought about, or what I've been reading about and kind of just putting two and two together, is it's supposed to come out now because it's the 50th anniversary of Enter the Dragon, which is like one of Bruce Lee's biggest
movies, right? Yeah.
Yeah, most people know him from this movie. So with it being 50 years from that, and then watching the little clip they have of the anime, like a little entry clip, it looks like it's going to be an animated version of that. Now, if it's still going to be an isekai, that's cool, but it looks like it's going to have like him being able to like turn into a dragon instead of just doing dragon type stuff. Like, I feel like it's going to be really sick, like
That
twisting his regular martial arts moves into like an anime style, like Dragon Ball Z type of thing, you know?
So we're basically talking, and pardon for people who haven't got to touch this game yet because they just did the beta for it. We're talking Mortal Kombat levels of we're going to turn his dragon style into actual dragon-like moves, or him turning into a dragon, and like he can throw fire, and that would be. I mean, if you're tell me that route, that's awesome. But that's also kind of
basically Liu Kang.
Yes, that's the problem. That's the thing. You're telling me Liu Kang in my head. I'm just like, that's going to be an interesting way to do that and make it still feel like it's believable to what he is about. And I think that's fine if you do isekai and then kind of pivot with use that style as well, fine. Because Dragon style is actually a thing in martial arts, so it's not out of the realms of possibility.
Yeah.
You just have to make it believable. Like it's not something that's gonna be.
Oh. But here's a legitimate question for you, Brandon. Why isn't there a legitimate Mortal Kombat anime? I'm not talking about the cartoons. I'm talking about a legitimate anime.
Oh, I think the only reason
Because
there's not
with any studio that's on the Hulu, right, it's going to be an anime studio.
I think to answer your question, there's not a legitimate Mortal Kombat anime. I think it's because it would be a lot of fans, and Chris, you play the game. A lot of fans wouldn't feel like it was with the source material. The thing is, the other problem you would have, a lot of the other characters in the game are most of them all speak English for this point, except for like Reptile, who kind of he speaks English, but he has like this weird way of speaking English. You have other characters that are weirder and wacky, and it would be kind of hard to adapt a lot of those characters into anime style and still keep the gore level, the factor of how they are. Johnny the way he is. Johnny is like one of the people that probably has the most charisma or character, but yet he's just a Hollywood star that thinks he, can do whatever he wants. I think eventually down the road, yes. I think eventually somebody will try and go, hey, WB, can we take Mortal Kombat and use it as an anime series? Yeah, go ahead, but we have to be on the project. And I think that's the only problem with that. They would have to be part of the project.
The reason I bring that up, but the reason I bring that up is because just how WB owns DC, remember that DC already has a partnership with Mortal Kombat, and DC is already putting out DC animes.
Yeah, they're putting out the Harley Quinn Ikase. So yeah, I think eventually down the road, if the Harley Quinn one does well, yeah, you'll eventually. I could see you seeing a Mortal Kombat one come to light because it'll probably just work. I think if this
I could see it coming out on
we get in our life.
Yeah, I think if this would.
I was just saying, I don't know if we'll see it in our lifetime. Look how much of DC we went through before we got anime.
That is also true.
Now I will got like two cartoons. I call them cartoons, but two animated versions of Mortal Kombat. One was in 1990 something, 96, I think.
And there's two current ones now because we have
recently came out.
Yeah, we have the Johnny Cage Chronicles and we have the Mortal Kombat Chronicles. I think it's also the other one.
I think Snowblind is the name.
Yeah. I think the big thing with this, though, and to answer your question fully, Chris, I think if the Bruce Lee one does well, and it actually is very interesting, you could see a lot of those players who have Ninja Gaiden, people who have the Mortal Kombat brand. I think you can see a lot of players go, okay, all right, we'll adapt Ninja Gaiden, or we'll adapt Virtual Fighter, or we might get a Street Fighter anime for the first time in years. Because I think that would notify them of, okay, this can work. People are actually enjoying this. We can adapt these characters for that style. Because you can do it with Mortal Kombat, you can do it with Street Fighter, you can do it with Tekken. Tekken's had a couple of anime movies. I have one of them. It's pretty old. But it just depends on what they want to do, how this Bruce Lee one goes. If this Bruce Lee one goes well, that's the ticket to see a lot more.
Okay.
Yeah, that's also true. So let's get into this last news thing, and this will be really quick because we don't have a lot on this, but we do have some. They did mention this, so it looks like Demon Slayer, the final arc of the show, which will be the castle arc, is what it's called after the training arc, after the Hashira training arc, is going to be adapted into a couple different movies. And this is not fully confirmed, but this is what they're hearing right now from a lot of anime sites. gentlemen, I'll start with Chris on this. What do you think about them adapting the Castle arc to movies instead of a series?
Honestly, you money-loving bastards.
That's kind of what I was gonna-
You money-loving bastards. That's what I think. Because, I mean, first, as a fan, I would have liked to see it come out in a series, but the idea of them coming out in movies intrigues me a little bit more. Because that's honestly how I feel. Because now, it's not like I'm necessarily waiting for a season. I know I am waiting for a movie. I know it's going to be 3 of them. It's like, okay, you money-loving bastards.
Deon, I'll ask you the same
honestly,
thing.
if
Go
you
ahead.
put out a lot of money like that, like seriously, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. Same thing to you, Deon. What do you think about that? I think it's kind of weird, but I also don't disagree with Chris.
Yeah.
Because I think, make it 3 movies. Go ahead. They know they're going to sell. They know they're going to make money off them. We went to go see the first episode of this past arc in theaters, and the movie theater was packed.
Yeah.
So the question is there? It answers their own question.
Yeah, and it gives to their tradition that they've been going with the movies and releasing an art as a movie and pushing those. So it kind of plays to their style. The only thing is, I hope it don't go, and I'm gonna bleed genres here, but I hope it doesn't go like the Game of Thrones route, where it builds up this anticipation and it's like, yeah, it's gonna be so great and so good that we got to release it like this, and then it's a disappointment.
Yeah.
I hope that they're not just doing like, I hope the cash grab comes after the creativity. I hope it's like, okay, this is so good that we can grab cash. Not just, let's just put something out just to finish it off and, make a bunch of money from it. Then we won't trust them.
I will say this. There is a precedent for this. They did the Mugen Train arc as a movie, and it did pretty well. The downside to the Mugen Train arc coming out when it came out during COVID. So it still made a good amount of money, even though it came out during COVID. And that is the precedent here. Like, they have done it in the past. There is a reason for it. I just hope if you're going to do 3, or even if you're going to do multiples, so that it didn't say an exact number. I think it said multiples on a couple different ones. I did see 3 on a couple other ones. If you're going to do multiple versions of a movie, just don't do the thing where you make the movie, it looks really good, the story makes sense, everything like that. And then, like, the cliffhanger at the end is just kind of odd. It doesn't really make sense to your next movie, or you're just stopping at a point where it's not feels odd to stop at. I think that's the only thing about this. I'm kind of like, if you're gonna do that,
okay, I feel the need to not necessarily counteract both of you, but it's like but to explain where my reasoning is coming from.
Go ahead.
So, what Deon is saying, from what I know, there's really only 2 arcs left in the entire series. That's the training arc and the castle arc.
And the castle arc is the longest, I think, in the series. It spans like the last 6 or 7 books. It's super long because the hostel arc is super short. The hostel training arc is super short, if I remember correctly.
Right.
It's not that long.
So which makes sense that if we go ahead and release the training arc in episodes, we can still make our money while still generating hype for the movie. So the anime is free advertisement for the movies already.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Like, That's why I
Okay.
keep saying you money loving bastard. Now,
Well,
now to Brandon,
go ahead.
to what you're saying. Now, what you're saying, when you look at it from that point of view, is like how many episodes have me and you watched where they left us off on terrific cliffhangers?
A good amount, actually. Good amount. Very
So,
very good
it
amount
would,
because
so it seems to say that so depending on however they choose to end their movie, if it is a movie, I'm not worried about them leaving me off on a cliffhanger because I know that's what they're going to do.
okay.
I just hope it's a good one.
Well, the only reason,
That's
the
what I'm
only
saying.
the only reason I agree with you, Chris, but the only thing is, and we did this with Kaizen, and you said this a bunch with Kaizen when we watched we're getting the Shibuya arc in a couple weeks, in 11 days, so about 2 weeks, a little under 2 weeks. You felt like with the that arc of 5 episodes, you felt like it could have been a movie because the way it was paced, it stopped and started in places where, oh, these aren't natural. These are kind of natural stops and starts, but they feel like pauses in places too. So you felt like, oh, it could have been a 90-minute movie and been done with it.
But isn't that the point though?
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be interesting either way. I'm not worried about it. I'm just kind of like, okay, let's say you do premiere for this first Castle arc movie. Let's say you did like you did with this previous arc where you showed the first episode and the previous couple episodes. So you're gonna charge people $20 to go see this first movie in the theaters, and then it comes out in Crunchyroll a month later. Yeah. I mean, I'm down for it. I'm not gonna complain, but I think at the same time, a lot of people
why not? Like, honestly, I feel like it's a little company looking at a big company saying, if y'all can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah. I mean, but
the big company is getting mad. That little company is generating more money than they are.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
That goes to the hype of the anime, though.
Yes.
Demon Slayer is so hype. It grew so fast. It got a popularity so fast.
And think about this.
Whereas even stuff like Chainsaw Man.
Yeah.
It grew, but it didn't grow as fast as Demon Slayer. Like, I don't think nothing has.
But think about this. And most people forget about Demon Slayer is that Demon Slayer is only 26 books. It is the shortest Shonen Jump we've had in a long time. So think about the fact that this Shonen Jump's only 26 books, and yet, like you say, Deon, it has been so hype because of how they've done well with adapting the books, the mangas, for the show. And yet, once it's over, it's over. It's not going to continue. They're not going to do a spin-off thing. It's going to be done. So I think that's going to be the other reason why it's been kind of helpful, because they don't have to worry about a continuous story. Unlike One Piece, unlike Jujutsu Kaisen, unlike a couple of things that have been having continuous stories that have 50, 60, or 30, 40, 50 books in it that have been around for so long. I mean, so One Piece has been around for almost 100-some books. That's impossible to get into. But now you can get into Demon Slayer like that. Before the Castle arc comes out, I think a lot of people are going to be watching from season 1 through now because they're just going to be that high. Or before the Hashira arc comes out, season 1 up through now. Because I think that's just people's hypeness about it and seeing they're looking forward to something. So we'll see. I am like Chris says, I'm looking forward to it. It is very money heavy thing, but hey, I've went once already to see an episode in theaters. I'm not gonna complain. $20 is $20, but I had a good time doing it. Did it with friends. I know it's not for everybody, but I think it's still something that can be prevalent nowadays. Let's get into this question before we get into episode 7 of Dead Mount Death Play. While we're talking about this question, get up the episode for while we're doing that, so you have it ready. So this question tonight, gentlemen, stems off something I watched, and I think I sent Chris this. I sent Chris the video of it of a YouTuber I follow talking about the Ikase genre. And the guy in the video, he does a really good job of stuff. He says that he's watched Ikases for almost 10 years. And he said that these last Ikases have been kind of bad. And before I fully ask the question, I'll bring this up because he brings it up in the video as well. Out of the 50 anime we got for the summer season, 10 were Ikases. So my question to you, gentlemen, what do you think is a good way to fix the Ikase genre? Like, Shonen Jumps have gotten better. They adapted with the times. We've gotten more of the slice of life animes adapting with the times. Your food animes have always been pretty good. Your comedy stuff with Magic and Muscles and some other comedy things we've gotten been really good. What is a way to fix Ikases? Because I think certain Ikases are good. Certain Ikases can be kind of good example. Me and Chris are both watching So I'm a Spider, So What? That's actually a pretty good Ikase, even though it's two different stories. And the two different stories make sense, have reasons for being there. I know I've watched I Got a Cheat Skill in Another World. That was okay. I fully watched it. It was good, but it was kind of okay. I've seen other ones that people watched or I've gotten through. They've been kind of okay. So I'm gonna start off with you, Deon. What do you think would help Ikase genre?
Honestly, nothing. I think there's only so much you can do, and because of the niche of the genre, the more you try to fix it, I think it'll just make it worse.
Okay.
I mean, the only thing you could probably do is like take it back to the basics, maybe bare bones it, and create an isekai that isn't trying to do so much. You know, like we get all these isekais. Like what's the one? I was reincarnated as a vending machine, and it's just so much, and now they're trying to stretch it because it's all been done already.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can only go to so many past villages and, you know, other worlds without being cliche. So okay. I don't know if it's something that you can fix versus something you just kind of let be what it is and not try to do so much with it, you know?
Okay. Before I go to Chris, I will say this. He does mention a couple, like the vending machine one. He mentions Reincarnated Slime, which he liked. He mentions Shield Hero, and he mentions Shield Hero in a weird way because he mentions Shield Hero because of Raphaelia and how that whole storyline goes for reasons like Raphaelia gets older, but yet she was a young kid, slaver. Mutanchi Tensei he mentioned because of certain things like that. I will say this. I like Shield Hero. I don't think it's that weird. I think it's actually really well done. But at the same time, yeah, if you're thinking about it in that sense, yeah, you're thinking too hard. It's hard to think. You're thinking a little too hard. But I digress. I'll give you the rest of my take in a second. Chris, what do you think about this? Is there a way to fix Ikases, or are you like Deon, trying to fix them would just make it worse?
So, in a way, I'm in agreement with Deon. Like, because, first of all, I'm one of the people who I like Ikases. Like, honestly, I can't say I'm watching every Ikase, but I do like the idea of them. But so the way I feel like you can fix it, leave it alone for a while. Like maybe skip a season or two, and then maybe have Ikesays come out less often. Go back to maybe having 2 or 3. Just ease up on it. Because after a while, fans are going to get burned down on them. And then what?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
To me, that's an easy fix.
And I know what people are gonna. I do know what people are probably gonna say in the comments when we're talking about this. Aren't y'all watching Dead Not Death Play, which is an Ikase? Hold on, before you go down that road. Yes, it is an Ikase, but I will say this: they don't do all the tropes that other Ikases have done. They stick to maybe 1 or 2. Magic is the big one, and then in this case with Dead Not Death Play, I think they kind of stick with the trope of like all these assassins in the same kind of area and place, and these like creepy organizations. Which that's a new take on it.
But
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that the argument of the question wasn't necessarily whether you could say genre is good or bad. It's just a matter of fact, it's just that we're seeing them too much too often, which is, and again, true, because Dead Mount Dead Play is continuing next season. So it really kind of proves our point.
I don't agree with that, Chris. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
But
go ahead.
I don't think we're seeing them too often. Like, I love isekai. I love the entire genre. Most of the animes I started watching was because of that. Like, if you look at it, Inuyasha, you know what I'm saying? That's one of the first animes I ever started watching. And realistically, it fits in that genre. It's just, if it ain't broke, don't fix it too much. It's fine that they're coming out. They're just coming out weird now. They're trying to, make everyone an isekai.
But that's what I'm saying. If you slow it down, give people the put time to come up with ideas. So
Yeah, but if you give me 10 out and they're all good, I'm cool with them.
We're not saying they're bad. We're talking in the event that they come out.
Some of them are bad, though. Some of them are bad. Like, bad. And I hate to say it, but some of them are so bad that I hate that I watched them. But I still want to watch them.
Okay. All right.
All
right. I didn't expect that. All right. Yeah. Okay.
I
don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think y'all are both.
Like, give me some reincarnated like a slime 1,000,000 times over, and I'll be okay. But if you give me some stuff like the vending machine one was, and then this one I just watched recently that just came out about a guy being a drop as a slime. He got dropped as a slime. It was pointless to me.
But those are good animes, though.
The one that got dropped as a slime, what? I don't even know the name of it. That's how bad it was to me. Oh, I got an OP. I'm stuck at level 1, but my OP skill. Like, first of all, the title. Like, come on, man.
I mean, yeah. Now the one you just mentioned. Yeah, but reincarnation as a slime, though, is actually
reincarnation as a slime. If you give me those, I'm great. But if you give me the other ones, then it's irritating.
Then in that case, I'm in agreement.
Yeah. I think the thing with this is, and it's funny with the video, because I follow this YouTuber, I enjoyed him stuff, and he even said, I don't really worry, I'm kind of worried about this opinion piece I'm doing, but I'm gonna do it anyway. We and Chris talked about it when we were playing through the field the other night, a couple nights ago, and I said, thing is, if you look too deep, and I said, if you look too deep in some of these animes, yes, the tropes and some of the stuff they do is kind of awkward. Because Mushoku Tensei is about a dude that's in his 30s that reincarnated as like an 8-year-old. The whole story from that is kind of just like not great. But you have to take your disbelief. You have to take your not disbelief, but like you have to detach yourself from the show to enjoy it. And I think that's the thing with like Oceano KO, same thing. It's about a like pop idol music star who also is like in social media and all that stuff. So it has real world like things in it, but it also has that weird detachment to it. Those are kind of, yes, they are hard hitting. They talk about deep facts. I get that. I mean, I'm gonna point this out here. I actually enjoy the isekai genre. One of the best. I don't think this is considered isekai. I don't think it is, but I'll point it out here. I think Shinlock would be a good example of that. Even though I don't think it's considered isekai, they do a very good job doing like real world things or tropes and making them feel real. They did a whole episode about somebody's depression and like mental health, but it was in a way where it made sense. So I just think it has to be done in a way that feels right. If you do it kind of weirdly, it's not going to feel right. Do I care when the reincarnated part of it is somebody reincarnating from like an older age to a younger age? No. Do I care when the reincarnation deals with, or something deals with like in the case of Shield Hero, a guy who's getting bullied by all these other heroes? He kind of has to do his own thing. He buys a slave to help him out, and the slave learns how to use a sword. They become more friendly. And by the way, he mentions the fact he didn't like that Reptilia grows older. Here's the thing, and Chris mentioned it. Reptilia and the Shield Hero never become love interests. They became more friends of anything. He cares for her. And at the same time, they do the thing where the rest of the characters don't like him because he's such a good dude. Even to the point where the princess is called Queen. I'm not going to say the actual word. Friendly podcast. But I think that's the thing. If you hook me with a good story, I'm cool with that. I've never been one for the vending machine. Yeah. I've never been one for. I think the slime one's interesting. I would go back and watch it. Not my cup of tea. But if you give me stuff like Shield Hero, I learned a cheat skill in another world. The only reason about the cheat skill in the world, I didn't really care about the second half of it as much because he got too OP. The man got too OP. He got too good. So it's kind of like you made him too powerful, and he's just kind of good at everything. Yeah, when they do the ones where I'm not that strong in the real world, but I'm a beast in this other world, don't really give a chord to me. And here's another one that kind of go in that banner, and it's weird. Food Wars. But Food Wars started out for me very weirdly because he was very good at everything. Then I end up keep watching. He ends up has a couple L's. So it makes sense that he has to build back that confidence. But if you just give me somebody who's overpowered at the beginning, not great. Do I think you need to change anything about the genre? No. I agree with you both. I think you have to balance it out. I think you do. Because if we're getting 10 a season or 10 this season in a summer season out of 50 anime, that's 20%. That's a lot. I'd rather you do 4 or 5 a season, and they're all pretty decent. If you're going to do 10 and let's say 7 of them hit, 3 don't, fine. But I think you cut it down to about 4 or 5 a season and have them where they're more condensed, but they're really decent. Cool. Am I kind of worried once we see the Harley Quinn one? Yeah, a little bit. If we get the Bruce Lee one as a isekai, a little bit. I'm worried they're just going to use a lot of older tropes again to try to keep this genre going. like Deon said, the genre's been around for a long time, so it's not something that's going to change right away. But I do think the other genres have adapted. Shonen Jumps have adapted. Comedies had adapted. Even to a point, fan service had adapted, which is kind of hard to say, kind of hard to believe when you think about it. But fan service has adapted to a point. Not in all places, but in most. So like each genre has adapted. I think Isekai has had a hard time to adapt because it's all about going to another world, going to another place, doing something outside your own world. But I will say this: let me know what y'all think in the comments. Let me know what y'all think about the Isekai genre as a whole. I think it's very interesting that it's probably something that people are kind of divisive on. A lot of people like it. A lot of people like certain isekais. A lot of people don't like certain isekais. It's up for you to find out what you ultimately like about the genre. But let's get into Dead Mount Death Play episode 7. We're coming off a very, very strong episode in episode 6. I implore y'all, if you haven't gone to listen to that episode, go listen to that episode. We basically were going to watch 2 episodes that week. We are watching 2 episodes tonight. That episode, we talked for a good 40 minutes after the episode because it was just that good. Now we want to see where this leads on to. We're looking forward to it. So I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, and then we'll get going. Gentlemen, you ready?
Ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. And we basically leave off at the house where the crime scene happened. Well,
Nice way to break it off.
Yep. He basically told the old man, "I'm not from this world," and he knew about it. He knew about the.
Now, I have an interesting question for Deon.
Hopefully, I have an interesting answer.
Okay, so his bodyguards are clearly ninja of some caliber, right?
Yep.
So what keeps those ninjas around? Is it loyalty or money?
I think it's fear.
Huh?
Wait, fear?
I think it's a combination of fear and like respect. Because if you remember, these guys are like the top tier in their industry. Like everybody wants to work for them. And if you see how his family acted, nobody wanted to piss off the dad, or like they didn't want to get on his bad side. So, it's like you can work for me out of respect, but then you stay because you know if you leave, now I got a kid type deal.
But I also think too. But I think too, they would be watching you, so they've seen your work. They also know what you've done.
Right.
True.
The magic.
Which is why we can't allow you to leave. No, I can't answer that question truthfully until we finish this episode.
Okay, really? Stop playing with the sword.
Oh,
Huh? Okay. All right.
He's laughing. He's laughing.
A robot body.
Mhm. That's kind of creepy, but hey, it, I
Cre-
mean,
creepy is not the word I would use.
if you had the choice, if you had the choice, and it wasn't because of some freak accident, I don't know.
Hmm. Wait. She has compassion? What the?
I mean, he did kind of save her life a little bit, so
Yeah.
Chris, without saying too much, it's loyalty.
I figured.
Okay, this episode starts off weird. We go from them having a conversation with the uncle to the uncle about to kill the girl, the zombie girl, and now they're leaving happily, and now the spirit's happy. Okay, all right then, all right then.
Happy ending.
Happy ending. I get it. What the?
Nope. Somebody who can do something like that in front of your eyes? Nope.
Are we talking Houdini levels of like?
prison.
Are we taking like Houdini levels of just like just got out of a straight jacket?
Why this episode is called The Magician.
Okay.
That's a crocodile. What the? That's hilarious.
Damn.
He made a whole building disappear.
Yo.
All right.
Even if he wasn't a villain, like a super villain, I still had to give him respect for that. Wow.
Oh wow.
Okay. This is. Oh right.
You know what? We need a villain like him in real life now.
We got one. Never mind. I'm gonna leave my
I'm about to say,
political antics out of this conversation.
well, then you text that to me. You text that to me.
Hmm. Our radio. Okay. All right. They're using the radio as like a.
Am I wrong?
Nope. Anybody notice that the Phantom Solitaire is the newscaster?
Yes, he is. He just like
Right.
took over the newscast. My word, that's fun. No, I was about to say they're using the radio as like a police scanner.
This is laid back for broadcasting.
This has gotta be insane.
Yep.
How do you let this man get out of prison, then hijack a newscast?
If you think about it, they never really caught him.
No, they didn't. Okay, you can't put those two and two together.
Uh-oh. Firebug.
Firebug. What the hell? Okay, that was a weird conversation. That was a one-sided conversation.
It was an interesting conversation.
It was.
It's cool. We're putting his world together.
Yeah, they're putting mythology into ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Like he could not be from another world, just a different time.
Time.
And you know what anime recently did that? Wait a minute. There was an Ikusa anime that did that really recently.
Only one I could think of that has something with time is like Tokyo Revengers.
No, Tokyo Revenge is a good one, but this anime was a recent anime that came out, like, I think season before last, and that was the plot twist in it.
Wait a minute. No way.
Could you imagine lemmings in the world with magic?
Yeah, no.
Nope. Okay then.
All right, that was weird.
Interesting.
Interesting and a little bit weird, but interesting overall. Let's start off with this. This episode picks up where the last episode left off. This episode pretty much picked up at the aftermath of what Firestarter did. And it basically just talks about, they cleaned up, they got everything back to somewhat normal. The grandfather and Pokey and the girl are talking. They're kind of talking about his powers, what he can do. And he mentions the fact that, the grandfather's like, I kind of knew about your powers, but I knew this wouldn't be really you. So explain. So then they do the intro. We cut back to them. He talks more about why the way he is and everything. And he mentions that the soul of his son is in the shark. Before we even get to that point, though, old man pulls out the sword, points at the girl, and tells the girl, "Hey, are you willing? So you're not afraid of me, but you're not. But you seem like you're too confident. Basically, like, are you willing to die?" It's kind of like, okay, where's he going with this? Then he finds out that Pokey's soul's in the shark, and he pulls the sword. He puts the sword back in the sheath and kind of starts laughing. What y'all think about that opening segment there? Because that was kind of weird. And I'll start off with Deon for that.
I honestly loved it because, like we discussed last time, I have a new favorite character,
True.
and it shows just how much of excuse my French, a badass he really is.
Yeah.
Knows she is. Like he knows exactly who she is. He's not like passive. Like, and you still like, now I gotta kill you. You killed my son. Like we all cool and stuff, but now I gotta kill you. And it's like this is a business transaction. That's how cold hearted it was. I'm like, oh, this is dope. But yeah, it was just what was weird for me is how he took the news of his son turning into a shark. That part was weird.
Yeah, I thought he'd
It
be
was
more
like,
angry.
oh,
He thought he'd be more angry, but he was kind of relieved. I was like, okay, fair enough. Chris, what do you
but
think
it
about
could also be like, well, at least he isn't dead, you know?
Yeah, true. That's the other thing. So, Chris, what do you think about this first section? And I forgot to mention, Pokey does say, I know when your men is hiding in the corner, tell him to leave. And the uncle goes, how can you see him? With your eye? And he's like, no, I just have a hunch. Pokey just says, I have a feeling. And the uncle goes, leave, go. But the guy's like, but your lordship, no, leave. And he just leaves out the scene. I thought that was kind of interesting, like you say, talking about loyalty, because you mentioned the question earlier at the beginning before you started the episode.
Yeah.
Loyalty, that's loyalty of he tells you to go, you're gone. You ain't sticking around. You ain't sticking around for the conversation. He wants you out.
Can I give a spoiler or no? Do we want a spoiler? No.
Chris, it's up to you.
Nah, don't give him no spoilers, bro. Don't give him no spoilers.
Okay, that's
okay.
Because because if we have time, we still gonna try to roll in the episode to the next episode.
Yeah.
It doesn't get mentioned. It gets mentioned, but it's like you gotta pay attention. But yeah, after the next episode, I'll let you.
Is there a scene that we should have paid more attention to?
Nope.
Okay.
It's not something that's like super deep or something like that.
It's like subtle. It's a subtle thing they do. Like super
yeah.
Subtle. Okay. It's one of those like weird, like super subtle things. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it just goes into that question that you asked me.
Well, I will say, like, I found this scene funny too because opening scene, dude already let them know, like, yeah, you can tell your people to leave. Like, like that was already like your first thing. And he was like, like, how can you see him? Like, I'll tell you later, just like tell him to leave. Cool. Bye. Niggas gone.
Yep.
So with that being said, credits, they roll into blah 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 now. Dude talking to the boy who's in his son's body, like, okay, I understand. And now that I understand you got some type of power, okay, you being truthful nonetheless. Then, like you said, he turned the sword towards the girl. Like, he's like, girl, like, don't you know that I could kill you for how many men that you've killed from me? Like, don't you know? And yeah, you got the cojones to come in here and not be afraid. Shoot, now that was a scene to me.
Yeah, that was a room full of cold, powerful people.
Like, for real, like honestly, that's like I don't know, if Lord forbid somebody come in here and hurt my dog. Boy, you got some cojones and still think you gonna come back in my house.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing with that scene. She doesn't even flinch. She doesn't even move. She says like one sentence, and the next thing you see is the shark toy goes jump. knocks the sword out of her way, and just kind of like, then he changes the conversation. So like nothing ever happened. It's like, okay,
but it was in that scene where he realizes that that's his son, because he had that whole flashback of how his son was waving his hands in front of an animal like, "Don't kill him," and that's when he realized, oh. And then that's when he just kind of started laughing, like, "Holy snap, you've been here the whole time. Like, I thought you was somewhere else." And honestly, after all that, you can't help but to laugh.
You can't help
it went from a really serious tone,
especially he's such a dog.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he did.
Like a little dog come out waving his hands, and you realize that's your son all in that split instance. Boy, I started laughing too. Like, boy, I thought you was dead, and then here you are, the stuffed animal waving your hands like, "Don't kill this girl." Like, boy. and which brings you to the end. Like, the one to that question I was asking Deon, like, yeah, I see what I thought loyalty too, but like when you was talking about it might be fear as well, you are definitely right, because at the end of that scene he says, you know, like, "So you think I'm a good guy?"
Yeah. So we go from that scene section, and we cut. So it does a weird cut. It does a weird cut here, because during the whole conversation, we cut to the son and Lemming's talking. Lemming says something to the son. The son kind of reciprocates with an answer. It was kind of a secret. It's supposed to be a secretive meeting, but we're like a fly on the wall on that case. Then we cut from back to the conversation. After the end of the conversation, we see Pokey and the girl leave the house. The kids walk up. The girl takes a shark out of Pokey's back, basically in his back jacket. She hugs it and she's like, "I should have said this earlier, but I feel bad I did it. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done this to you. You were a good person. I feel bad." And I said it felt kind of weird that she did this, but I'm also like, man, they're changing her character so much. It actually makes sense. I'm cool with it. She's kind of having remorse. I'm cool. But then the flip side of that coin, you have the kids come back to both of them and go, and the kid, well, I think the girl goes, "Thank you, man, for saving us. We wouldn't be saved without you." And she's like, "You're welcome." And they go, "Are you martial?" And like, "I can't tell you that." I was like, okay, she's still playing coy a little bit. I love that. But then they say thank you to Pokey and thank you that, and Pokey says, "I should be thanking you because y'all, you made me feel like why I need to do what I need to do now." So they both have a change of heart in how they're handling things now. Then at the end of that scene, to end this whole little like mini story off, you have the kid standing there with the ghost of their older sister back to normal, feeling like a human. I thought that was the most wholesome thing ever. Then we roll into probably the weirder section of the story, the two cops talking to the guy in the straight jacket. The guy in the straight jacket's name, we don't know yet. They're talking about Firebug. They don't know much about Firebug. They're trying to figure stuff out from the guy in the straight jacket. The guy in the straight jacket, I need to go find out for myself. Lights go out, lights come back on, he's gone. He does a Houdini act like in 2 seconds. And they're like, "Where'd he go? He just left the, okay. All right." That's why this episode is called Magic. Then we get the police cops telling the other policemen, "Hey, we need to go find this dude. He's done so many different things. I'm going to go through all of them." Basically kidnapping the prime minister. He's done so much other, like, just terrorizing the city. The biggest thing they talk about he made a whole skyscraper disappear. That's insane. And we find out the guy's name is Solitaire, which means single, or which means like he's by himself. But also can talk about using cards and being the magic and all that. So what did y'all think about that little section from the time we get to the little nice ending with the kids and everybody up until we get the Solitaire going out of jail and starting his rampage again? And I'll start off with Chris this time.
Oh, although Old Man is still my favorite character, Solitaire is a real, yeah, that's a real dude right there.
Yeah, it's
Anybody
kind
who
of
can disappear in front of, who can disappear in front of you while he's in police custody. I mean, this dude is in everything except for a straitjacket.
yeah. Yeah.
And he escapes in front of your eyes and police, bro, nah, nope. Every part of my soul say don't, that ain't nobody you mess with in any world. So yeah, I'm thoroughly impressed by this person. Honestly, Deon, I agree. I'll leave it at that.
All right. Deon, what do you think about this section? So from the time we get the little kids up through we met Solitaire and talking about his stuff he's done crime wise and why he's supposed to be a bad dude.
So let's start at the beginning of this section with the horrible character change. I'm not gonna lie, I hate this beginning so much. Excuse me, it's getting me choked up. This character we love so much as this psycho Harley Quinn type of character. We're supposed to believe that meeting this kid's family is changing her so drastically that she's like sobbingly apologizing to a doll. I'm sorry. The woman who watched her parents die and was like, "Ooh, I want to do that too." We're supposed to believe that she's just like, "Oh, I got so much remorse for killing people now. I can't take it."
I will counteract you with
I'm
this.
sorry.
I will counteract you with this. Yes, is it kind of drastic? And yes, does it feel kind of off? It can. But at least they gave us the episode prior where she started that transformation. And going along with the Harley Quinn theme of this, at times Harley Quinn was also considered a good guy. So it's not like it's a wrong thing to do. You can make it feel like, oh, she does care, she feels bad. After learning about the guy's son, she has a little bit of heart of like, yeah, I probably should have done that to him. It was a mission.
I'm
But
sorry.
Yeah.
But how much heart can you have? You watched your parents get murdered and didn't bat an eye. These people gave birth to you, loved you every day of your life. And you like, oh, they got murdered. I want to murder too. I wanted to feel that joy. I found joy in killing people.
But I think
the episode before, we did get that transition, but wasn't it supposed to be a ruse, like just to not piss off his parent? And now all of a sudden it's a super change?
I think it was supposed to be a ruse.
Harley Quinn, yes, could have been a good guy. But she was still crazy. You changed her entire personality. I was expecting when that sword came out for her to like chuckle to herself or something. Like, give me some semblance of that craziness still being there, and you're like tucking it down. I'll buy that. But a complete like 180 turn, like, I don't know. It doesn't sit right. And maybe if she goes back into, having a little bit of this semblance of psychoticness, I'll accept that a little more. But I don't know. I don't believe that this kid that you were okay with murdering literally yesterday, I can only imagine this is still technically the same day, or at least within the same 2 days. You were okay like a day or two ago with murdering this kid twice. Twice.
So continuing on
and now you're like, oh, I'm so sorry.
So continuing on for that, I do agree. So what do you think right after that, going into Solitaire's arc or learning about Solitaire?
Oh man, that part was awesome. That brought me right back around to like, okay, this is a dope anime. Like
Okay.
the fact that he goes through this, I want to say this arc of who he is, and it's all supposed to be fun and games. Then he like disappears in front of what we already know to be two badass cops. Like we've seen them in action, we've seen them do things that are supposed to be, protagonist worthy. Like these guys supposed to be main characters in this show, and you just vanish in front of their eyes in lockdown. Like, oh, whatever. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. They frustrated the police officers while they're in that meeting. That's how you know, like this was a big deal. Like he gave me some. It was laughable. It was a comedic release in this serious toned anime, and it gave me like, okay, I see how he can be one of the contenders. When they were talking about him in the first few episodes, when they were listing out those guys, I'm like, who is this guy? But I can see why they can be concerned about him, even with the jokes that he's been pulling. Like,
so we'll get into this part now. So we see Solitaire get out. We see him talk about his accolades. We see him try to get back in power. The police officers have that meeting, and they go, "He's done this, this, and this." But also, this man's not calculated. He's not as crazy as you think. He understands what he's doing. So then we cut back to the trio. They're in their base. Pokey has bought a random radio for almost 18,000 yen. I think that's what that said. Off some street corner. He turns it on. They hear the news report. And then the girl at the old lady at the station was like, "Are you looking at the news right now?" And they're like, "What are you talking about?" And they walk over, and Chris mentioned it right off the bat. It's so subtle you wouldn't notice it. You're like, and Chris goes, "Wait, that's Solitaire." And yeah, Solitaire's hacked the news feed and literally is talking over the actual news broadcast about himself, by the way. Not about the news, about himself. He is kind of, he kind of has that, like, he just like talking about himself and all he's done. That was funny. And then the news goes back to normal and they're like, "How did he hijack?" And I even said it. I think I said it after that. "How do you hijack a radio station?" And one of the police guys goes, "How do you hack a TV station?" And they're like, I don't know. We didn't catch him." So then after that, we go back to the trio. They figure out who Solitaire is. They kind of talk about him. But then we kind of talk about Pokey and like his world to them. He talks about the dragon, the corpse god stuff, and more about who's like trying to fight him, trying to kill him. I love how they intertwined all the real world stuff to what he's done in his own world. But it's not like there's, you could say like he's went to a new world. It's just a different timeline. The timeline is different. So this is like medieval times, knights levels, and this is just current day world. So what did y'all think about this section? And I'll start off with Deon for that.
I said I like the magician, so I'll jump to the part where we're reading in the books. This is an interesting part to me because if it does turn out that it's the same world, just a different time, then that means one big, massive game changer for this entire series. And that's that magic exists in this world. And that is like a big, that would be super big if it turns out to be that. Like they're comparing animals and stuff like that. So if it turns out to be that magic exists in this world, then that's gonna be confusing and awesome depending on which characters we're looking at. But if we look at what the magician was doing, it's been to find this fact out. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Chris, what do you think about this little section here where we learn more about the magician, but also we get kind of that thing about Pokey telling the crew about what he is and where he's from, and like he was this giant monster, and yet he's kind of in what's everything about from his world.
Okay, so Brandon, if I was standing in front of you and I made water come out of my hand and fire come out of the other, that would freak you out, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, magic in the world we live in would be almost like seeing something like that would be like I can't even fathom. Okay, so but that it did bring me back to the other anime I was telling you guys about. The idea that Deon was telling us about so there is a ikusei called Kamikatsu, working for a god in a godless world. Now,
okay,
it's a long name, it's a mouthful, but I got to say the title is rather interesting.
You could say it's supposed to be a long, weird name.
Okay. Anyway, but so as the protagonist goes along and he's doing things that an ikusei protagonist does, the twist of the anime is that he learns he wasn't really ikusei into another world. He was actually just ikusei thousands of years into the future. So yeah.
If this leads to what you and Deon are saying, where we just time traveled to the present day, that's gonna throw a spanner in this, because that tells me that magic is real in the real world, and that basically anything he can do, anything that's Solitaire can do and Pokey can do, can't be matched. It almost feels like we're about to get to a point where we're going to have so much magic in the world, it's going to be insane.
You know what though? As true as that may be, if that happens, if that same twist happens in this anime as it is in the other, then that would give a drastic score of less for me in both animes.
Okay.
Because then that goes back to the question you had earlier, because now we're running into animes that aren't necessarily original.
Nope. So I'm about to talk about this last part. As I'm talking about it, get up episode 8 of the Dead Mount Death Play and have that ready to go. So this last part of this is actually really interesting because it just focuses on Solitaire and everything about him. Solitaire wants to go meet Firestarter. So we have this thing where he's on a building waiting for Firestarter, and him and Firestarter have this conversation. We don't see Firestarter, and here's what I thought was interesting. And I don't know if anybody else picked up on this. So in the previous episode, we follow Firestarter, but it was a lady. In this episode, Firestarter here is a man, like an older gentleman. And we don't see that till about halfway, till about closer to the end of the episode. Like right at the end, we'll see his like feet and like a suit. But the whole time, it's just the umbrella with the symbols for fire safety. And then they have this conversation. But within this conversation is a fight. And it's a fight along the side of a conversation. It's like, I don't know. It's like juggling a dinner at the same time trying to solve a mystery. Like, it was so well done, it didn't feel like it was out of place. You had two very different characters. You have Solitaire, who's this like over the top, just likes his tricks, likes his magic, and he does whatever he wants. We have Firestarter who's more calm, cool, collected, doesn't like too many tricks, and just likes to be straight to the point. So then we have this back and forth conversation where Firestarter wants to Solitaire wants to work with Firestarter. Firestarter is saying, "Why do I want to work for you? What's the reason I need to work for you? I don't care to work for you. Give me a reason to why." And Solitaire just goes through these reasons why, because we can become a great team. You have the flames, I have the magic, and we can make cool things out of that. And then that's where you hear Firestarter go, "I don't really care for the tricks. I just want to see things burn." And even Solitaire says, "You just breathe fire. Why you can do so much more with living." And then as he's saying that his clothes getting burned up by fire, and he said, "Oh, that's the reason you live, to burn things up." Never mind. It's just kind of like dawns on him. It's like, oh wait, he doesn't care about people. Yeah, you kind of should have figured that from the first time. By the whole time this fight's going on, by the way, it is raining. It is pouring. It's like raining with it. It was amazing. And the thing I love about it, it left on a cliffhanger because we don't get an answer of did he agree to it? Did they not agree to it? It kind of feels like it was a conversation with no resolution. Neither side said anything. But I love how it all kicked off with a phone call, and he's like, how'd you get this number? Oh wait, you're talking to the guy that's on the umbrella. He called you. Oh wow, that's kind of some like shield kind of thing. Like, I got your number. I'm calling you. We're just gonna do this way. It was amazing. I think the way they left us really gives us the reason to like this character even more. Both characters. I think both characters are really well done. I think Solitaire's gotten become one of my favorites now. It's just awesome. Chris, what do you think about this last little ending here of this episode with the fight and kind of just like this back and forth conversation?
In this conversation, I feel like Solitaire is trying to get a feel for this guy, like, and then he realizes, like, yeah, I already know your tricks. Yeah, it's dangerous. Yeah, but I know the trick. It's not real magic. But the conversation does kind of let him know, like, what you're looking for. You might, kind of like a warning that you give to anybody. Be careful of what you might find.
What'd you
you
find?
look so far, you might end up, yeah. So, yeah, I'm just keeping it short and sweet, that part, yeah.
Okay. Deon, the same way, you keep it short and sweet. What do you think about that little section, the ending section of that fight?
It's got me very interested. We've got some hard hitting characters been introduced, like Lemmings to Fire Safety Book. What I will say is noticing that it was a woman first holding the umbrella. Now it's this guy in a suit, which he did not seem to be the guy that was on the phone, simply because he couldn't hear him speaking on the phone and in person. They were so close in distance. So I'm thinking this Firestarter bug has a ability to maybe hypnotize people or control people in some type of way. That no one else is kind of picking up on.
Okay.
Because even he was like standing on his head. He's like, you wonder why you don't feel the weight. And he was still talking to him, but it was over the phone, and he still wasn't listening to him.
Correct.
But it just shows that these two guys are nothing to joke around with, He's threatening him at the same time as having a calm conversation. Like, well, what do you do if you find out that this is what you're looking for? Do you have, like, the strength to stand up against me if I choose to burn them? And it's like, well, nah, I ain't going to fight you on it. So it's going to be an interesting development once we see what plays out.
Okay. Before we get into episode 8, I need your
especially if Magic.
Yeah. Before we get into episode 8, I'm gonna get your gentleman's ratings for this episode. I'll start off with you, Deon, since you kind of finished up on your speaking. What would you give this episode 7 of Dead Mountain Deathplay? Deon, did you hear that? Chris, go ahead and give your rating.
So my rating for this, I'm going to give it like an 8 even.
8. Oh wow.
And
Okay.
I really want to give it. I really want to give it something lower, but it did keep me interested throughout this show.
Okay.
Like it started off. It started off with a bang, and then it breaks into conversation to kind of give story. And I understand now. The introduction of Solitaire is freaking awesome. Like I don't like that man. Like honestly, like we need somebody of his caliber working the actual world. Oh, but the only reason I don't give it any higher and I want to give it lower is because I feel like it's trying to switch off on different stories, but when it switches off, it just makes the main character really, really boring. So yeah.
Okay. 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 Deon, what would you give the rating for this episode after you heard what Chris said?
He's trying to call back in now.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll go ahead and give mine. I will say this episode was kind of weird. I think it was more or less not great. I think this episode was kind of weird. I think I would give it somewhere around the world of 7, 7.5. I don't think it was. I don't think it hit pretty much everything it should have hit, but ultimately ended up trying to do a little bit less. I think it did too much, but not enough. Like you say, Solitaire is one of the better characters in this. I think overall, little story stuff. They're trying to jump around with characters, and it kind of makes the main character look kind of doesn't feel like the main character. He just kind of feels like a background player for most of the stuff. But we are sticking with the trio, so it's not like the trio's there for a reason. The trio's there, but everybody else has more interesting plots than the rest of the cast. But we'll see where it goes. I mean, I gave last episode so high because of what it was. I don't know how much of this episode was going to change right away. But ultimately,
Well, you remember how I said earlier, though. Like I said, like depending on how it goes, like my scores can change.
yeah.
Like right now,
Not so much. You're kind of like, this is boring. This is kind of getting kind of the different kind of treat. It's getting that treatment of like, this doesn't feel right after a big episode like 6. But I think overall, we are kind of, I don't know if I think me and we're down both on this episode, but ultimately I think this episode's kind of not the big thing we won after the last episode. I think it's just kind of like there for it, just kind of finish off some certain stories, finish off things that need to be fixed. But we'll see. We are about to get into episode 8 in a second. We're just waiting on Deon to get back. But I will say this. Let me know what y'all think of this episode in the comments. Let me know what y'all think when I put this up on for video on YouTube.
So then let me ask you this question while we're trying to give Deon a quick minute.
Yeah.
So, do you think that what kind of cliffhanger can we expect this to leave off on, especially if they're getting ready to start a season 2?
I think this is going to leave off on something where we find out that Pokey's going to figure out he can still do good on his own. I think everything drops away and Pokey's going to be by himself. Getting back to the real world or getting back to his, just getting back to his home world or staying in the real world, I think he stays by himself. I think everything else drops away. In the weirdest way possible, I think that's going to be bad. But I think I could see that happening just because of the way things are going.
Okay. I mean, I want to see them leave me on a cliffhanger that at least where somebody's in trouble. Like for
Okay.
me,
Okay.
it anime doesn't necessarily come across as the type of anime where it's gonna leave some characters that have it quote unquote built up.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think the thing is, like, you build up all these characters, but I don't know which ones you're gonna keep around. You've built up so many characters right now.
True.
There's so many hard. There's so many ones I don't know who you keep around. Who's gonna leave? Because you've built up
Honestly,
Solitaire. You've built up Lemmings. You've built up the cops. You've built up. There's like too many to build up that you can't do anything with.
maybe so, but it's like you build them up. But so the only character that I think might we might not see might be either the grand old dude
Mm-hmm.
or the bandage the guy.
Okay. Okay.
If it
Yeah,
had to be any two characters, it would be one of them.
I think Lemming. I think the old man is going to be probably gone in the beginning of season 2, and I think Lemming is probably going to stick around for a bit, but he's going to just be a background player a lot more.
But, but you see how it can be probably. Sorry. And Deon says check and see if you can let him in the meeting.
Okay. Here, let me tell him to recall in. I'd have move him first because I think it. Uh, or have him disconnect.
Okay, well, we'll just go ahead and continue because we're not sure what happened.
Okay. That's weird. He's still here on our end, so you can't talk, I assume.
He said he can't hear us and we can't hear him.
Okay. All right. I would say we try to call back in. We can see about something. I don't know what's going on.
I thought he was too. That was weird.
Yeah.
Any luck?
Nothing. It's not letting me do anything.
You start the next episode?
Yeah, we can, and we'll see what goes on. So we're gonna end up starting episode 8. I do apologize for technical difficulties for some reason. Don't know what's going on. But we'll go ahead and start in 3, 2, 1, and then I'll say we'll go. So Chris, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
I feel like they just introduced a new character.
Yeah, I did. Oh. Who is she?
Yeah, that's Pogo's cousin.
Oh. What is she, a salesman?
Looks like it. Okay.
Oh, that's so weird.
Not gonna lie, I bet you that shark is probably cozy as all get out.
No, yeah, that's true.
If you can sleep standing up, I want to learn how you do that.
That's kind of creepy. She's making eggs
Why
and
does
bacon.
anime food always
What
look
the?
so weird, bro? Like low key, I could go make me that right now.
Oh, absolutely, Sam. Wait a minute. They went to the house.
Mhm. Man,
How can you? How can the cops make sure your stock price don't fall?
man.
So they're finally putting two and two together.
Yep.
Wait, she's playing. Oh wow, she's playing Tetris. That's kind of funny.
Wow.
Little details.
And,
The more the merrier.
for a dark anime, they sure have some really bright scenes.
Yes, they do. She's just sleeping on a mattress. How? She tapped her forehead and she could hear the. Okay.
Your frequencies.
Oh, that's the girl from. Loyalty.
Hmm.
She's gonna go against his. She's going against Lordship's orders.
Yeah.
I'm not broke yet.
Is that him? Uncle gonna make him look like that again if you try to cross him.
Oh,
Oh, he crazy too. He destroyed their entire company just like that.
Wow. Wait a minute. He saved the girl.
Is that a girl or is it a boy?
It's her.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Fair.
She saved
Fair. She got a
her.
deep voice.
All right, we go back. Okay. All right. All right. All right.
Yep.
Wait a minute. They literally hired them to kill. Okay. Why is she playing with that skeleton?
Oh no.
She's standing outside the door.
Huh?
Oh, she's trying to figure out what they're talking about, but she can't. What?
All right. Because he's not taking it literally.
Isn't that a waste of money? It doesn't take much. Oh, come on now. Oh, but it is a boy. You're right. Never mind. What the world?
They're the same type of games, huh? So the only person who's really closer to finding him is actually this guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, that was kind of like, wait, aren't you? Wait, aren't you? Isn't that the? Oh, okay, I need to run. And there's our stalemate. All right, that was actually
Yeah,
a good one.
probably gonna finish this tonight. Being honest. Yep.
You're gonna finish the show.
I've been doing good not to watch it, but now it's like, yep.
All right. So we're not gonna go too in depth because we wouldn't go. I'm not gonna fully in this, but I will give you. I'll give you my 3 points. So we basically start this episode with where the last episode kind of leaves us off for the most part, in the sense that now we're trying to figure out who all these major players have in common. So the cops, they go to the younger boy, the son, the younger son, the older son, or whoever. I don't know how the family dynamic works, and they go ask him about Firestarter and all this other stuff that's happened. So trying to figure out the crime scene. But then he says, "We'll do our thing. Just make sure we don't lose any more money." Kind of saying that they have the cops in their pot, like they can pay the cops off, which is kind of weird. But the big reveal of this episode was the assassin boy that was in the meeting from last episode. He's trying to figure out why Pokey is the way he is. He don't believe he's a real Pokey. But he tells his lordship, I'll do whatever you ask of me. I can't fight it. And that's where loyalty comes in. We learned that the lordship bought the little boy because he figured he could help him. And he ends up do help him, get them better and everything. And then this episode ends off with probably one of the weirdest things I thought you'll never see. Is everybody in the room, they're about to start their fortune teller business up again. The cops come there and they're like, would you read the blonde haired cop's like, would you read my fortune? And that's where the episode ends. Chris, just your thoughts about this episode, because this episode was really good. After the episode 7, where it's kind of lackluster, this picks up right from that. It just goes, we're going to give you all this information now. And I forgot to mention the fact that Clarice tells us that they were hired to kill Pokey by the family, which even makes this even more weird. Because why if the family one of the people have hit people to kill their own son? But I'll let Chris start talking.
So when I look at this episode as a whole, it was like, okay, like to me, like it had like a rocky start, but now it's like so then they started walking, and in this episode you see them getting ready to start jogging, getting ready to run. Like, okay, like now it's like, now show me why y'all deserve a second season.
Yeah.
But so everything that they showed all the way up to the end has all been like a setting up plot point now. Like we can try to see where we finally see where everything's trying to come to a point, and this is finally where just like we talked about in our last podcast or podcast before, it was where we saw like at what episode do we need to get to the point. We said anywhere between 7, 8, and 9. here we go, episode 8, and here we go in episode 9. Like, okay, I waited to episode 9. All right, now, you know what I'm saying? Like, it sounds like y'all are getting there.
Yep.
Okay.
I will say the big cliffhanger from this. I want to learn about why do you have Corey's team go after Pokey? What was the point of that? Why do the cops know about all this and they can't do anything about it? Why did the family want to make sure the cops help them? What is Solitaire's plan in 6 days? And why is the young boy trying to go against the lordship to see what Pokey's up to? This doesn't give us a lot of questions, but it gives us a lot of answers. It doesn't give us a lot of answers, but it gives us a couple questions. And it builds and builds through this episode. Like you say, it starts by walking, it kind of starts jogging. And we get into a little bit of a run by the end of this episode. I think by episode 9, we're going to be in a full sprint. Because I think they're going to finally figure out what's going on. This was probably, watching these 2 episodes back to back actually helped figure out what was going on slightly. I think the brother has something. I think the brother wants to figure out what Pokey's really about. The lordship likes Pokey because he's the real son's in that shark. But everybody else is skeptical. And then the cops are like, have you talked to Carice in a while? He's like, why would he didn't say anything, but he's thinking, why did you ask me that? And he's probably like, no, I'm gonna say no, but no, I'll change subject. I want my fortune read. So the cops know that Carice put the hit on the boy, on Pokey. But now they're trying to figure out why. I'm like you. I'm going to probably watch the rest of this in the next couple days. This has got me intrigued.
Yep.
This has left me intrigued, and I know why. It's left me so intrigued. I think it's weird because the last time someone left me this intrigued was Hell's Paradise. And that took to episode 10. I don't.
You know, it's funny. This came out at the same time as Hell's Paradise.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Which kind of tells you that they knew this was not on high on everybody's list. But I think this is one you should watch. Chris, now I'm gonna ask you now. What would you rate this episode?
I'm gonna give this episode an 8.4.
Explain.
Because in this episode we get a lot of insight on the things that have happened. Like you see some of the things, some things are trying to tie up loose ends, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like now, so the fact that you're taking the episode to tie things up means that you're about to come to a big reveal. So I'll give you an 8.4 only because the last few episodes have been kind of but if you really take off and run, and on this next episode gives me what I want, I can easily give every score at least another extra 2 points.
Okay. I would have to give this episode. I have to right line with you. I'll say 8.5. I think this does a good job of leading us to other answers. Now we get the backstory of what's going on, why the father the way he is, why the lordship the way he is, why is he so stoic? Oh, because he has all the money in the world. The man's rich as all get out. He can do whatever he wants. He doesn't have to worry about a thing.
Yep.
He literally can buy somebody to use as one of his assassins, and now you're indebted to the man. That's scary. That's fear, but also loyalty. You saved my life. I'm going to work for you. You have Carice, and Carice, I love Carice's scenes. I don't know. I love Carice in this way. Carice is like, I know everything that's going on. Y'all hired me to go kill Pokey. I know about the tech y'all trying to use, about the poison. We killed him, but now he's back alive with the family. Yeah, that's not good. But now we're on the hook for it. That's a smart lady. She not trying to hide. and now the cops have a reason to go find Pokey.
Mm.
And the cops are like, we have all this information now. We need to see what's going on, where their hat is, why they're not now, what's going on. I'm looking forward to episode 8 or episode 9 and 10. We'll do that next week. That's gonna be fun. Seeing the rest of this episode, and then after that we go on the 31st of August. We have Jujutsu Kaisen coming back. By that point, we only will have 2 episodes left of Dead Mountain Death Play. First episode, the first real episode of Jujutsu Kaisen, the Shibuya arc. Ladies and gentlemen, I do thank you for watching. Hope you did enjoy. Go ahead.
I will say it is very unique that we did not plan it out that way. That we kind of started the season watching Jujutsu Kaisen and Dead Mountain Death Play, and we get to continue these 2 animes going into the next season.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're here for the ride, because we're gonna have a lot to talk about this fall season. We're going to Jujutsu Kaisen season 2 or season 3 technically, arc 2. And we're gonna have Dead Mountain Death Play season 2 on the horizon. We'll finish season 1. We'll roll right into season 2. But I do thank you for listening. Hope you enjoy it. I'll put this up on YouTube the next couple, probably either tomorrow evening or by Thursday. We'll be back with Chris, myself, and Deon. I thank Chris for joining me, and we'll hope to hear him next time. See you.
Later, guys. Everything all right?